This is my 1988 Porsche 944. I've had it for 2 years, and despite it being a dream car of mine when I was in high school, I haven't quite fallen in love with it yet. In an effort to make the car more useful to me, I'm going to make a hitch receiver so I can put my bike rack on it. As far as I know, the only off-the-shelf solution is this one from Kurt. It's pricey, hangs down below the bumper on an already low car, and won't work for my 2-inch bike rack without an adapter. So my thought is to make a custom 2-inch receiver that comes through the rear bumper. As you can tell, this bumper is already in pretty rough shape, and I'm not too worried about cutting a big hole in it. I find that the 4-inch angle grinder isn't the most precise tool, especially on 3/16 aluminum, so I'm cutting well within my lines and I'll clean it up with a hand file. Now that the hole is cut, I need to work on the plate that will bolt onto the sheet metal in the spare tire well. Originally I wasn't crazy about this mounting method, but it's pretty similar to the aftermarket receiver. I also don't ever plan on towing with this car, so the receiver just has to deal with bikes bouncing around. Here's the finished mounting plate. I need to mark and cut this 2-inch receiver tube I got at Wilco. It's a shame to lose the reinforced end of this receiver, but I'm not worried about the strength, and keeping it would have meant cutting a much larger hole in the bumper. The tube is cut, prepped, and ready to be tacked onto the plate. I think most people would probably MIG weld something like this, but my MIG welder doesn't work well on an extension cord. Good excuse to dust off the TIG. The main receiver is welded to the mounting plate, so now I need to make the brackets that will attach it to the bumper itself. This is actually another thing that I wanted to avoid at first, since connecting the bumper to the body of the car is going to reduce its ability to compress in a rear collision, but I'm justifying this by using M8 hardware and telling myself that they might shear in an impact. Feel free to tell me how dumb that is in the comments. So this is more or less what it will look like behind the bumper. I will upgrade the 4 main fasteners to M10 and probably leave some slop in the mounting holes to account for warping during welding, but the main design is pretty much just a ripoff of the Kurt receiver. I should clarify that having the receiver behind the bumper really only works well for the 1-up style rack attachment. It tightens down with this Allen bolt from the outside, so I won't need to fumble around inside the bumper with a hitch pin. I will probably end up drilling a hole to have the option to use a different rack, but for now this works well. I guess all that's left to do is go drive around and see if anything falls off.